To promote transparency and accountability, South Carolina lawmakers are discussing the legal use of cameras within special education classrooms.
The pre-filed law has fueled a conversation between upstate families and cybersecurity experts. Our Caitlin Ashbaugh joins us live this evening. Caitlin, what are they saying about this bill?
Hey, Sydney, Mark, the hope and the goal here is that this bill would be effective in giving vulnerable children a voice while also securing their safety in a growing digital world.
This bill would make audio and video recordings legal within special education classrooms across the public school system. Representative Mike Burns says this comes years after he suggested a similar law applying to all classrooms.
We can put cameras in the halls, we can put cameras everywhere in the schools, but we can't put cameras, where it takes he said, she said, when there's a problem.
Ariel Greenwald Barfield is the mother of a 9-year-old with special needs.
Not every kid learns the same way. So it's having to pivot, to every kid's needs.
Parent and former educator within the foster care system and the juvenile justice system, she believes this is a necessary pillar to help more vulnerable children.
This would give them a voice. For the first time, they would have a voice into what is happening. They can't communicate the same way as other kids can or other people can, so they need to have that outlet.
Recordings would fall under public records subject to FOIA. However, schools would be required to redact files before releasing them, and sensitive content could be exempt from public disclosure on a case-by-case basis. Cybersecurity expert Phil Yanov noted parts of the bill he perceived as problematic.
We ought to be able to figure out, we have to spend our time figuring out how do we protect them, not how do we put them at further risk.
Yanov spoke to us about potential hurdles posed by federal mandates, FERPA, and the IDEA, which create strict policies protecting the privacy of those with special needs.
They want to make sure these kids are getting a good education, that they're being cared for in the classroom, that they're not being abused. I get all of that. The question is, what harm might come of it? And do we trust the people that will have that data, that video?
We asked Representative Burns if security was an issue he was worried about.
That's the whole goal, is to protect these children and not throwing out FOIA stuff with their faces and their identity would be part of that protection. I think that's pretty well understood that would be the goal of the bill, is protect them on both sides of this.
So, Caitlin, understanding that debate is still ongoing. If this does become a law, what would happen to schools who fail to comply?
Hey, Mark, well, redacted files, as we mentioned, would be available for the public to view and request at any time under this law, as long as they are redacted and edited for educator and student safety. And we're told that schools that don't comply with the mandates, or those who might use this for commercial use or ill use, they would face penalties. We're also told that schools would have to comply, and they would have to provide a notice to students and parents before they enroll in the program. They'd also have to submit annual reports for any potential privacy concerns. Reporting in Greenville, Caitlin Ashbaugh, WYFF News 4.